What is going on YouTube? It's Brendan from Market Makers. Guys, even a hurricane can't keep me down. The power is back on. The echo is still here because my furniture and things will not be delivered till next week, so apologize for that. But guys, the market hit a couple of big milestones today. This is the worst performance for the S&P since September of 2008 on my screen. There's the arrow for September of 2008, and what happened after that? A minus 49% drawdown, minus 57% overall. It was the worst performance for the Dow back till 2000 of September. What happened in 2000 of September? So the two worst performances for the Dow and the S&P happen to be the two greatest bubbles that we've had in the country until the bubble that we're trading in now. But yet nobody is putting the pieces together still. CNBC still can't figure it out. They're now questioning it. They had a couple permabulls on today that were saying things like, you know, I'm starting to get concerned that the Fed could tighten rates too much. And that could really be negative for the market, like Marco Kolanovic from JP Morgan. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, guys. What I love about you guys is you guys are like me. You have common sense. We know that inflation is not truly 8% because we buy groceries. We go out and we shop and we go out to eat. Inflation is much more like 20 or 30%. We are at an all-time high in America with Americans living paycheck to paycheck. Almost 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Yet everybody on TV is just worried about the stock market, which is 90% owned by the top 10% of Americans. That's what they're worried about. We need to tackle inflation. We need to crush inflation. You can do that one of two ways. You can increase supply the way that Reagan, Laffer, and Kudlow did, and then you can raise rates above inflation to be restrictive to inflation, aka the Taylor rule like Paul Volcker did, crush inflation, have a roaring economy, decade-long bull run. You can do that, or you can do what the US is doing. We're just spending like crazy, and the only thing we have is demand destruction by the Fed. And people think the Fed's going too fast. They're going too slow. That inflation's becoming embedded. Those food prices aren't going to come down. Remember, the Fed's target rate is 2%, which means prices would still be compounding year over year at least 2%. So how are you going to get rid of that 30% increase in food? How are you going to get rid of that energy price? Because energy is being suppressed because the Biden administration, because we have an election season coming up, and they view us all like stupid idiots. We're like, oh, gas is really cheap. I think I'll vote for the Democrats again. That's literally how they view the American people. Gas, prices went down a lot because we're dumping 1 million barrels a day of our strategic reserve onto the marketplace. Classic price manipulation. We are now down below 1984 levels, which is extremely irresponsible, especially in the world we're living in today, fraught with conflict. And we have to buy all that energy back at a higher price. So this is all manipulation until the election cycle is over, and then watch what happens to oil. Going to go back up again in the winter time. Europe has an energy crisis. Eastern Europe's in war. Guys, there's just so much going on in the marketplace, but it's almost as if nobody saw the declination coming that we've been talking about since November. Now, I saw it because it's a classic bubble. Now, the money managers don't see it because when money managers look at the S&P weekly on my screen, what do they see, guys? Wow, fantastic pullback, buying opportunity. Here I'm buying quality because we could go down more. Here I'm focusing on stocks that have really good cash flows. The companies have good cash flows. Here I'm going to buy defensive. I'm going to buy utilities, and I'm going to buy big tech like Apple because everybody loves Apple. It's the most widely held stock. They never see what's in front of their face, which is the declination of a market adhering to a pattern. A lot of these guys have their master's degree in finance. They manage money. They never studied anything with TA. They don't study market cycles. They don't understand what's happening. You guys looking at this pattern, do you see what's happening? 3 impulse waves, my price pulse pattern based on a Gann market pattern. And look at this tracking. Look how this is tracking. Remember, we have October 31st. We have Bitcoin and the Russell looking for a bottom on that weekly October 31st candle. Doesn't mean the S&P and the NASDAQ will find that same candle, but they're not going to move down by themselves. ourselves. So it's going to be relatively close, and look how this is tracking down this wave. The S&P right now is testing its 200-233. You guys know from my previous videos, this area, when you lose it, you're going down. I have that number at 3141. That's the number you guys need to watch. That is your primary fib. I hear numbers all day on TV, 3200, 3400, 3500. I'm watching 3141. And again, guys, remember the key phrase. The key phrase you're going to hear wherever we find that bottom, my target 3141 on the S&P, generational buying opportunity. This is going to give you on the Russell and on Bitcoin 9 weekly up bars. That's over 2 months of a rally. Okay, 2 months of a rally, looking to get back up to the 618 at 3593, where the 200 and 233 will be coming over. As you guys know from my previous videos, this is the market right here. This will determine whether or not we truly are in a bubble and how deep we are going, because what happens when we back test the 200 and 233 is going to dictate everything for crypto and equities. Because in the previous bubbles, we're able to get above it, but then we fell back below it, or we never got above it and fell back below it. And this is your deeper retracement leg, okay? And on the S&P, we know from looking at all the previous bubbles have hit the same exact fib target. That fib target would bring us down to 1841 on the S&P, which nobody on the TV is going to talk about. You will hear them say 50% from the all-time high, which brings you down to our 1618 at 2409, okay? That is long-term trend, but as Jeremy Grantham always says when he models bubbles, they often go below long-term trend, which is why I think every single bubble, including this pandemic drop, all hit that same fib level, which will give us the 61.84% retracement at 1841 on the S&P, and nobody's expecting it, but you guys got the information here. NASDAQ, let's look at the milestone, what's happening, guys. We just lost the 200 and 233 on the weekly. We start getting closes here. NASDAQ will be moving to our target of the 618 at 10,179 before it looks to bounce back up to 11,831. The NASDAQ, because it can really get some ignition, you could get above the 200, 233. Can you hold it? That is the key to the market. And if it capitulates and falls back down, guys, you're looking at that C leg going to the 1618 at 4,446. Understand that's more than cutting in half where the NASDAQ is right now. Remember, in the dot-com bubble, the NASDAQ went down 82%. You know, I saw an interview of Stan Druckenmiller. A lot of you might not know who he is. He's a Wall Street legend, one of the most successful investors of all time, famously made over $1 billion, with a B, dollars in a day. He also led the raid on the British pound, and he basically almost bankrupted Britain. But Stan Druckenmiller was talking about how he thinks the Dow has hit its high for the next 10 years. And they played that clip. I'll try to show it on my next video. They played that clip on CNBC, and one of the panelists, who's a money manager, laughed. He's like, oh, haha. Yeah, they don't understand because they don't study market cycles. When we had Y2K, guys, you did not get a new all-time high in the NASDAQ until 2015. That was 13 years later. After the crash of 29, it was 20 plus years before you broke the high. If this bubble plays out as a 3 Sigma bubble, the largest bubble, remember our first combined bubble in housing and in equities, if this plays out like it has historically, you could be looking at a situation where you have 10 years go by like that without making a new all-time high. This is why it's so important. My message I keep carrying to you guys is everything will get cheaper as the market unwinds, okay? This is why we track price with patterns. We're losing the 200, 233. Our ultimate entry for rallies, and we're going to go over this in Bitcoin too, is going to be when we find our bottom. That's your rally up. If you get in down here at the bottom on a long, remember, even if I was wrong and we never have that final leg down, even if I was wrong, if Grantham's wrong, if Dalio's wrong, if Druckenmiller's wrong, if all these great billionaire investors and me, not quite a billionaire yet, are wrong, then what happens, guys? You got in down here if you're trading this, right? Or if you're buying things that you like for this rally. And if it does start to go back up, it holds its 200, 233, you got in at the bottom. Something they couldn't do at all watching the business networks. Been telling you to buy this whole way down, just dollar cost average, etc., etc. Now, guys, to be totally fair with you, you know I'm going to say this. I don't think this is coming back up, okay? Next year, the economy is going to get worse. The economy is just now starting to unwind. It's just now starting to unwind around the world. So this takes time. Housing hasn't even come undone yet. So I do think we're going to have this final leg down. Will it come all the way down to 1618? Doesn't have to, but that's the target, guys. And if it does hit it, well, you got that information here. Let's look at the Russell, because we do have a pattern on the Russell and on Bitcoin. We're going to jump to Bitcoin next. Again, the Russell already lost its 300. You know, the bulls said none of these indices would lose their June lows. They all lost their June lows. They are now putting in performances that you have to go back to the great bubbles to see how bad they are performing. The Russell's below its 300. It's finding support here on the magical double S curve. And then the next target is 1618 at the 0.5. The Russell should be coming down on the Halloween weekly candle to 1521 when Bitcoin comes down to 10,591. And the Russell should be capitulating down to 697 after it has its nice rally back up to 1765. These are going to be major rallies, guys. 9 weekly up bars. Now, I don't have that pattern, like I said, on the NASDAQ and the S&P, but the Russell and Bitcoin are not going to rally while the S&P and NASDAQ go down. So I expect them to go up as well. Let's go ahead and look at the Russell on the daily. Russell on the daily, we defeated the previous June lows. We're starting to get bloody here. Nike had a horrible report for retail. They have inventories up 44%. Micron, I think it's Micron. Yeah, Micron. They had horrible news for the semiconductors. They're at a new 52-week low. And, of course, the bulls are like buying opportunity. Man, they have no idea what's going on in the marketplace. Let's go ahead and jump over to Bitcoin, my friends. Bitcoin, Dante's Descent. This is my pattern. It's not based on anybody else's. This isn't based on Gann. It's not based on Wyckoff. It's based on me. So this is my pattern of 11 weekly bars of descent, 9-bar run-ups, 20 bars between tops, and that's been repeated twice, working on the third time. No swing high has been defeated, guys. 48,240, where we initiated a short, we talked about it on YouTube, 64% decline, and now we have 25,210. That was the next swing high. That won't get defeated. And of course, guys, as we talked about, you do have a double top forming here on your weekly, but we're looking at October 31st coming down to 10,591. Can we go lower? Yeah, we can go lower. It depends what happens in the market. Remember, Scott Minerd has 8,000 Bitcoin. You hear a lot of people talking about 12, 14, 15. We'll see where it goes. Remember, I got these red boxes. This red box right here is the average descent of the 2 previous red boxes. Magically lands you almost to the dollar at the 1618 as well. Then we have a 9-bar run up. So that movement, just like on our Gann market pattern, is going to look like this: down, then up, then down, okay? And it will be manifested like that. So you're going to have ABC corrections within the Gann marketplace pattern, my price pulse pattern. As you can see, this pattern has tracked absolutely perfectly on Bitcoin. I mean, amazingly perfectly. If we zoom in here towards the end, guys, of the weekly pattern here on Bitcoin, you can see this. You see this? Double top. Okay, that neckline is basically 18.6. So you break that 18.6 with any velocity, you can look at that next movement down. When will that happen? Because it's holding up so nicely. It's going to hold up until the Russell loses its lows with some velocity. It's been bouncing off the June lows. When the Russell drops, Bitcoin's going to drop. We shorted Bitcoin today because the Russell pumped today. I saw it hit the 200 and 233, posted a trade. We're going to go over that, the 4-hour time frame. I'll show that to you guys. Here we are in the daily time frame of Bitcoin, trading in a pretty constrained range here in the daily candles. 618 at 18,646. What was that number there on the weekly? 18,603. Look at that, okay? 18,646 is a 618. You lose that. I don't think that 17.5 single candle is going to be much support. If you lose this with velocity, you're going down. Your next stop's going to be at 16,000. Then you have the 1618 at 11.9, okay? That's basically that 12,000 number based on this wave projection. So I see all those levels getting hit. Now, if we jump over to the 8-hour, we can see our Fibonacci speed resistance fan just tracking here in this channel, basically sideways. This is the trade that I posted in the room. Guys, if you want to come trade with us, definitely hit the join button underneath this video. Okay, you get a fantastic education. We do live streams there. We have professional pattern traders there, other traders as well. We have scalpers in the room. But most importantly, what I like to stress is we have a fantastic community. Everybody there is seeking financial freedom. You can learn, you can bounce ideas off each other. It's a great community. We have 11,000 people there. So I'd love for you guys to come check it out. You can try it out with that join button underneath the video. You can support this channel by using our platforms that we trade on. Use SimpleFX for the equities, get up to a $5,000 bonus with deposit, and then the tutorial videos just underneath that, all in the video description. And of course, we trade on BITGET for all the cryptos, guys. If you can support our platforms, you help support me and support the channel, really would appreciate it. So let's talk about this. Now, I posted this trade in the room, but you guys, we've been talking about this enough. If you've been watching my videos, you know I've been beating to death the 4-hour time frame, the 200 and 233. I posted this. We pumped up above the 200 when the Russell was pumping. We wicked. Look at that. Wicked beautifully. Top of the weighted Harold Davis, the gummy worm. Hit the 233 just underneath the 0.5 fib. Always looking for confluence when you're looking to enter shorts. And then what happened, guys? Then we got a 600 or 800 point drop really quickly off of that. I'm hoping this trade will not be retested. I'm hoping the guys that got into this trade will be able to keep it open, and I'm hoping next week we'll continue to see movement on our shorts because these have been highly profitable. So that's the 4-hour time frame, guys. Maybe you'll get a retest here. You got a retest on the 200 that failed, as you can see on that candle, but we shall see how that plays out. Let's bounce over to Ethereum. Ethereum, I went ahead and threw a trend-based fib on here. You can see you're in a pretty tight channel between a 382.5. Here, if you look at this vis-a-vis Wyckoff, here's your top, here's your base. You had a failed breakout here, came back down, you had some down thrust, working your way back up into the range, okay? Your 618 at 1363. You can see you're wicking it, and then you're getting rejected. Those are up thrust. But most importantly, look at this. You have a double top that formed here on the 4-hour time frame, okay? So your neckline is down here based off that wick, somewhere around 1290, okay? 1290. So watch that, because you got a double top that formed, and that could be your breakdown if the markets continue to pull down. Remember, equities don't trade on the weekends. So if the markets continue to pull down and Bitcoin pulls down with the Russell, watch for this potential breakdown with that neckline right there. XRP, guys, we talked about this, but ideally, if you did want to take a trade here on XRP at a short, the 1618 was the best spot to take it. However, looking at this, you also have my favorite trend continuation pattern. You have a dragon, nearly a perfect dragon. This is a double top continuation pattern here. You can learn this pattern in the room as well. I made an educational video on it. And you can see we pumped up between our two long-term moving averages. I think it's the 200 and 233. Yep, it is. And so, you know, if you're looking at this, guys, if you get a retest here or you're feeling adventurous, this is looking to roll over, okay? When the markets pull down, it's going to roll over. Now, what I'm looking at here is to see if it retests any of these fibs or if it just starts giving way. Time will tell, but that is something you can look at. This is a daily time frame. You may prefer to look at that on a smaller time frame, but that is an active trade that I posted in the room as well. Let's look at what we got here. Let's look at gold. Look at that. Gold came back up. Peter Schiff's going to be happy. Gold came back up to retest this resistance of 1672 only to get rejected. So what it looks like to me, what gold is doing right here, if I didn't have my I have too many trades going right now, but if I didn't have the big Russell trade, I would be looking at this because on the daily here, looks like you're making that cup, okay? The inverse cup is what it looks like to me. If you get some turbulence up here, back testing this, and you fail, and you go to move down, that's what it's going to look like. That's your back test, okay? You're back testing previous long-term support, 1672. You see this? You rolled down, you came back, you back tested. It could be 1 candle, could be 5 candles, 10 candles, whatever, daily time frame, and it's going to break down to the downside as the dollar continues to rise and the markets continue to fall. Gold fell 34% in the great financial crisis. 31% will bring you down to 1425, where I will be saying yay gold and buying some gold. XAG. XAG is silver. If you look at this, you can trade all this on SimpleFX, guys. Silver, we had our double top broke. Look at that. Magically hit the 618. Imagine that. Most commonly retraced to fib to the dollar. Okay, $17.96, and then it bounced back up with this little rally. And really all you're doing here on the daily, it just looks like you're just making another double top. So you had a double top here that broke down, and you're looking to make another double top. Double tops basically form everywhere in the marketplace, okay? And what we got? Oil. Oil is just using this magic 45 angle. Again, oil price is being suppressed, but you are below the 300, below the 233. Wouldn't touch oil until you reverse this primary downtrend. When we stop dumping oil on the market, when the coldness of winter comes and the elections are over, oil could easily start reversing, and that might be a tradable event. I'll keep you guys in the loop. I hope everybody is having a fantastic weekend. It is Friday evening, and guys, be safe tonight. My next video will be Sunday for the kickoff for the week. You don't want to miss that video. It's going to be a fun one. All right, guys, take care, and thank you, everybody, for your nice comments and tweets and everything about my situation here with the hurricane. Take care, everybody. Good night. Good luck.